Hey, I'm Marc Stevens, author of Adventures in Legal Land. The website is marcstevens.net. And the radio show is the No Stay Project, live every Saturday from the Fortified Compound in Phoenix, Arizona, from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time on the Liberty Radio Network. That's right, it's LRN.FM. And what we're doing with this video is debunking Dan Evans again. But the actual title really is Dan Evans, Liar or Just Misinformed? Now, Dan is a super lawyer, and I'm not making fun of him here. This is from his own website, so if you go, it's linked in the article. You can see that that's it's on his website. I guess he uses it as advertisement to get more clients. He is not just an ordinary lawyer. He is a super lawyer. What we're going to show is that Dan is also a super liar. Dan is also super dishonest. Maybe that's what they meant by super lawyer. They're acknowledging just how dishonest this man really is. And this guy is about as dishonest to the core as they come. If Dan Evans is talking or writing, you can bet the farm that Dan's lying. He's lying. And we're gonna do something that Dan is not big into. We're going to show beyond any doubt that he's acting in bad faith, and even if he is just misinformed, he's publicly posting things that are false about me, and he's not doing the due diligence, the 30 seconds worth of research to prove, to show that, what he's saying is wrong. But that would never stop Dan Evans, because he told me on the phone he goes through life with reductio ad absurdum, which in his world means if the premise seems wrong to him or absurd, if he doesn't accept the premise, no investigation by Dan is necessary. Oh, and he proves that in spades, everybody. So let's get to our debunking of Dan Evans, Pennsylvania super lawyer. So let's get to this right away. Let's look at the false statement. But, the thing is, and the only reason why I'm even talking about Big Dan here is because he's borderline obsessed with me. He will not stop writing about me. Here's the thing. I won't ever mention Dan Evans if he would stop posting things online about me that are false. If he could just move on and live his life. I'm sure it's a pretty comfortable life being a lawyer. But as long as he's going to be trashing me and being dishonest online, I'm going to debunk it. Within reason, of course. I mean, I don't want to, I could spend a lifetime debunking the garbage that comes out of this guy's mouth. But let's just go, we'll do this. And his obsession is shown here that he has me down on his tax protester dossier, which Dan, we'll talk about his moral compass here. Dan thinks it's all right to force people to give them money. It's okay to use threats of violence to get people, strangers, to give you money. That is moral to this man. He will defend that. I don't think that's moral, so I'm a tax protester. I think it's wrong to use force to have people give you money. Again, forcing people to give you money, we learned by the time we're 4 or 5 years old, that's wrong. It doesn't matter if you have a badge or a title. Forcing people to give you money is wrong. Dan agrees with that. Big Dan's got no problem with that. Okay. But he does have a problem with me saying things like that. We also can see evidence he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about because he's got me down as a guru and a big fish. Unless by fish, Big Dan, did you mean feet? Because I do have a size 12 foot. I don't think so. But clearly he doesn't know what he's talking about as far as me being a big fish. That's ridiculous. On its face, check. Anyway, let's look at the false statement. This is the false statement. And the evidence is going to be right here. It's called summary1.jpg. I'll get to that soon enough. But Big Dan is going to need a little bit of warning before I hit him with some evidence and proof. Because in Big Dan's world, he doesn't accept being wrong. There are no known court proceedings involving Stevens personally. Now, the reason why I don't think, he's got the word known in here, because this is a lawyerese kind of thing. This is what Big Dan says, I'm a super lawyer over here, and I've got plausible deniability. Well, plausible deniability. And by saying known. So this is he thinks that, well, if it does turn out that there is evidence, I'm okay because I put in there are no known court proceedings. Well, there's two problems that Big Dan has here, the super lawyer. One, Big Dan likes to trash me as a hypocrite, and he's done this a number of times on the interwebs, and that I am a hypocrite because I encourage people not to comply with the tax code, but I do. See, the thing is, I'm supposed to be getting money from people that I scam into not complying with the tax code, so they pay me, and then when they go to jail, everyone, I walk away happy, and all right. But so it's a very common smear tactic of Dan Evans, super lawyer. It's not true that I have said publicly that I don't file and pay income taxes, and I avoid every tax that I possibly can. And I encourage other people to do the same because, of course, taxation is theft. It's taking money by force. Okay. The other thing, too, is the fact, he doesn't have a leg to stand on here because the evidence here is linked right here on his own website. Dan, you put the evidence, what should be known to you, you actually link to it on your website. So, had he done 30 seconds worth of research, he would have gotten this same piece of documentary evidence that I have because it's been on my website for over 2.5 years. So, yes, he did link to the forum, but they're mostly from the success stories link on the website. Now, I do that. I copy and paste the success story articles. I copy and paste it into the forum because that's a more appropriate place to comment on the articles instead of going down here, although there's a good one here. Yeah, Jack, I agree. Dan Evans is a criminal, of course, but unlike Big Dan, I've got the evidence to prove it. Evidence that Dan can't spin. Oh, he'll try, but he won't be able to. No rational person will buy that garbage. So what he did was he posted the actual known evidence on his own website, and the least he could have done was gone here, and I'll read this to Dan. Maybe he missed this. Enter your search keywords here. This is a search option. So he could have searched and found it in the success stories. Even if he went through the success stories, he could have gone through, and it's only a few pages, it's like 4 or 5 pages long. He would have found it, even if he didn't use the search, but he didn't. Big Dan is not interested in the truth. Big Dan is a liar. Liar. So this is the evidence here to show that there are known court proceedings involving me personally. But I want to take a second here as like a public service announcement. I want to kind of protect Dan Evans' super lawyer's super ego. I know he lives by reductio ad absurdum. If the premise disagrees, if he disagrees with the premise, there is no investigation into the evidence. So it may come to a shock to you, Dan, and your followers there on Quantloose. You're wrong again. Dead wrong. So this is your opportunity to stop the video and think up your favorite logical fallacies, okay, so that you can either disregard the evidence or marginalize it as much as possible so that you come out looking like super lawyer instead of super liar. But what we're going to do is, so take your chance now. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead for those who are interested in the truth. There are no known court proceedings involving Stevens personally. Let's look at the evidence to show that Dan is lying. Wow. Wow. There's the documentary proof. This is from the Tempe City Court, City of Tempe versus Marc Stevens. I had, and I posted back in January 2012 on my website, which is almost 3 years ago. Yes, they said not for public release, but hey, that's not working out too well for them. You can see it's City of Tempe versus Marc Stevens. Marc Stevens, there's my P.O. box. You can see that there were 2 citations. See, 2, okay? There was a parking complaint filed. I filed a motion to dismiss. It was, of course, denied. No reasons given. And it was dismissed on the request of the officer. I reported all this on the No State Project, but hey, Dan didn't bother to do any kind of research. Yeah, super lawyer must mean you're so knowledgeable on your subject matter. You're such an authority. You don't have to actually research. Trash me online all you want. You're a super lawyer. But there's the evidence against you. So let's go into some of the spin, the logical fallacies that Big Dan will use. One of his favorite ones is the Tempe City Court, like any traffic court. And that's the thing. Traffic is not the only thing they do in the Tempe City Court. They do misdemeanors and felonies. Well, they do the initial felonies. They do the initial appearances, like the justice courts do. So it's not just traffic. So even though this was traffic, it's still a court. There's still judges. You see, judge, ADM. There's still judge. Well, maybe that's administration, but there was still a judge assigned to it. I was there personally in front of the judge. He had a hurt leg or something. He walked with a gimp. So I was there, and actually, there's pictures of me in front of the courthouse the day I got this thing. So that's the typical moving of the goalpost, logical fallacy. The Tempe City Court, traffic court, not real court, doesn't count. Yeah, it does. It's a known court proceeding involving me personally. It does count. Whether Big Dan wants to admit it or not, Tempe City Court is real court. They'll really put you in jail. The cops are real. They have real guns, real bullets. They will really kill you. So that's one. Another logical fallacy he'll throw up there is called a straw man, where he'll raise an argument on his own that has got nothing to do with this. So what he'll turn around and say, well, yeah, you filed a motion to dismiss, and just because the judge, because the police officer dismissed on was dismissed on the request of the police officer, that didn't mean that's no evidence that your motion had any merit at all. And I agree, Big Dan, you're right. Just because the police officer bowed out and did not prosecute the case against me is no proof whatsoever that what I presented had any merit. The motion stands on its own. I agree with you there. However, that's got not a damn thing to do with this false statement that you raised. So there, it doesn't matter. The motion is completely irrelevant. But that's a straw man kind of thing that Dan likes to. That's one of the things he likes to bring out. Another thing he may do is, it's a harmless oversight. It's not. He could say, I am a super lawyer, and I do super lawyer important things, really important super duper lawyer stuff, and I can't mess around with this jackass Marc Stevens, and I have important lawyer stuff to do. I'm a Pennsylvania lawyer, damn it, and I'm an important guy, and I've got important things to do. Yeah, here's the thing. If that really was true, people acting in good faith then don't post false statements on the internet or anywhere else until they have the damn proof. So it's not a harmless oversight like we mentioned before. The damn evidence is right there on my website. If you had any honesty whatsoever, you would have just done the research, which you didn't. And the big deal about this is a common thread with this man. This is not a one-time thing. All of his writings against me are false. He has lied and lied and lied and lied again. So the answer to the question at the beginning of the video, is Dan Evans just a liar or just misinformed? We can answer, you're a liar. This man is a liar. And where's the proof? Yeah, there are no known court proceedings involving Stevens personally. Yeah, you lying super lawyer, you. And another lie that he has, he says that he's not cherry picking. See, in this article, I mentioned that he's cherry picking. And he responded recently, he doesn't cherry pick, that he doesn't just pick cases that things went bad. He says because they've all gone bad. There is no evidence that I've ever helped anyone get something thrown out. Well, we know that's complete horse crap. We know that's another lie. How many lies do we have to establish by this man before he loses credibility? So here, if you just go to the success stories on the website, that's the link, you can go down here and you can see quite a few things thrown out on 3 continents. So, yes, Dan, you are a liar. You do cherry pick. You do engage in circular logic. You move the goalposts. And you just flat out lie. You may be a super lawyer, but you're also super dishonest. And now this is one more example where we've shown that. This is definitely documentary evidence to prove that you are a liar. You're dishonest. You're acting in bad faith. Not a harmless oversight. You didn't do any damn research, and that's your MO. But hey, If you disagree, if someone disagrees here that Big Dan wasn't wrong, it was a harmless oversight, be more than, you're free to call the radio show. I've even still extended an opportunity for Dan to comprise a panel of experts, other super lawyers, to confront me publicly. I don't care if it's 10-1. Call the radio show. We're live every Saturday from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time. I'll set you up as a guest so we can have the full 3 hours. And as usual, if you've got evidence that I've said something that was wrong, I've taken something out of context, or you have evidence proving the Constitution and laws apply to me or anyone else just because we're physically in Arizona or Pennsylvania, we'd love to hear your evidence anytime, live on the No State Project. And my name is Marc Stevens. The website is markstevens.net, and we've proven Dan Evans, super lawyer, super liar.